Namaskar. Any discussion about the swara, or for that matter Indian classical music, will be incomplete unless we talk about and understand the Tanpura. The Tanpura is a very intriguing and a mystical instrument because you normally see two of them on the stage and keep wondering what they really do. What the Tanpura does is it provides a screen, a moving screen of the Adhara Swara Shadja and many more Swara, and the artist uses this screen then as a reference to render his raga. This is much like the canvas of a painter. The Tanpura is a string instrument, normally has 4 strings, and these 4 strings are plucked one after the other in a sequential manner, and this is what generates a repetitive screen of a sound. The characteristic of this sound is it's very rich in harmonics, a harmonically very rich sound. Because of its repetitive nature, quite a few have called it as a drone. Now personally, I don't like this term because drone has a sort of a negative connotation to it. Whereas this screen is a very dynamic, very moving and very profound screen for the artist, very lively screen for the artist, which he is continuously depending on for his reference. Let us begin with the construction of the Tanpura. As we said, 4 strings here. This is the gourd and this is the stem of the instrument. This high volume of the gourd is what gives a harmonically rich sound to this instrument. These strings pass over this bridge. On one side you have these pegs known as the khuntis. These are for the coarse tuning of a string. So the fine tuning is achieved by these beads, which are known as the manis. And the most intricate part perhaps is this part over the bridge, which is known as the Javari of the instrument. What this Javari does is quite magical actually. There is this small piece of thread on this string which, when brought to a particular point, opens up the harmonics of this string. Let us go on to understand how a Tanpura is tuned. As we saw, there are these 4 strings. The middle 2 strings are tuned to the sa of the artist. So these would be tuned to the key of the artist. These are known as the jod strings. This Tanpura is being tuned to the key C sharp, which is the Kali Ek. So the first string of the jod, that is the second string from this extreme, will be tuned to this C sharp and also this second. So both the jod strings are tuned to the Madhya Sa or the middle Sa Shadja of the artist. The last string is tuned to the Kharja Shadja or the Mandra Shadja, which is 1 octave below this Sa. And the first string on the other extreme is normally tuned to the pancham or the madhyam as per the rag. If the rag has no pancham and has madhyam as prominent, then it would be tuned to the madhyam or otherwise to the pancham. Some artists also tune this to the nishad. Now, as I said, this tanpura is for the scale C sharp, which is a male key. So, this is a male tanpura which has a larger tumba and slightly longer length. This is because the male keys normally fall from, say, C sharp to E or F. The female tanpura would be slightly smaller than this and would have a slightly smaller tumba too, because the natural key of the female range is normally from F sharp to B. So the tuning process would begin with the coarse tuning, bring it near your key, fine tune it right to the exact point, set the Javari to get the right overtones from the string, and then play the tanpura. The tanpura is normally held vertically like this for playing, and the strings are plucked one after the other in a sequential manner. Let's now try and understand the various swara the artist can hear out of the tanpura without getting much into the physics of it. As we saw, the Javari is opening up the harmonics. More harmonics means the higher overtones can be heard also. So each string, when plucked, gives rise to the swara it is tuned to, as also many overtones of it. So the shadja also gives the pancham out of it. You would very clearly hear a pancham out of the shadja string. So also the next shadja. The kharja gives the gandhar very prominently and also the komal nishad. A well-tuned pancham would give out the rishabh and the shuddha nishad as its overtone. Re, re, sa. So a perfectly tuned tanpura gives rise to so many swara which together form this very dynamic and moving screen for the artist. And all the artist has to do is learn to listen to this tanpura and go on matching his swara with those emanating out of this tanpura. And all these swara which come out of the tanpura belong to the same natural scale which we have been talking about so far. So for an artist, this instrument no doubt becomes his ultimate guru. And finally, let us also take a look at the modern day alternative, an electronic alternative to this tanpura. Such an instrument is indeed becoming a bit inconvenient for the modern day travel. But more than that, I think it is the complexity of the whole tuning process of this instrument which is more responsible for the electronic alternatives. I mean, perfectly tuning a tanpura is indeed a very time consuming and difficult job, and artists spend their lifetimes trying to perfect it. So the electronic tanpura gives a very usable alternative to this. It is definitely an approximation of the real acoustic tanpura in terms of its sound quality, but it does serve the purpose, at least if somebody uses it for riyaz.